He actually had a party for when AD came over today. Even compared to gay men, like, gay men better step it up. Bang a punch. Oh, that pack a punch. Bang a punch. Today we are going to be taking a look at Lenny Kravitz Architectural Digest Home, and let me tell you, I am so absolutely excited for this. I have been a huge admirer of Lenny Kravitz, not only on his fashion side, but his music. And even though I am absolutely dying in the suit right now because my building has not turned the air conditioning on, I wanted to put on an outfit that even he would be proud of. So let's get right into it.
AD, welcome to Hotel de Roxy. Come on in.
He's such
This
a
place is called Hotel de Roxy. It's named after my mother because it was her dream to come live in Paris. I've been in this house for 22 years now, but I've been in Paris my whole career. I walked through the front door into this entry and I knew I was at home. I got the opportunity to work with Steinway. I designed this grand piano a few years ago, and it's a piece that I'm really proud of. This house continually pays tribute to my ancestors. All of this photography tells a story throughout the house, through Black history, American and African. It's all African.
I just need to start off with how fucking cool is he? I feel like I wanted to dress up really cool to match his vibe, and he completely outshined me. He is the only person that could pull off wearing sunglasses inside and still be an absolute vibe. But like this foyer, we gotta talk about this because I think there's something so classic about how you enter into a space. Your foyer is so important to really set the tone for the rest of the home itself. And they did such a fantastic job with this giant spiral staircase that wraps all the way around to the second floor. The black and white checkerboard kind of tiles that aren't a full checkerboard. We have that kind of like larger white and the smaller black details work so well with really creating that Parisian statement because we are in Paris, of course. The molding all the way around, this warm white works so well because we want that Parisian neoclassical look. This suits it perfectly. I also really appreciate that AD is finally highlighting like Black artists that promote Black artists. There's so many great features. He's got photographs, he's got custom art, he's got sculptures. He has everything in between from his entire career of these incredible artists that he's collected. And the fact that we get to be led into his space to see all of this is amazing. I hate that I only got a quick clip of that second floor with that really beautiful sculptural console there because I really want to know more about that. I feel like that is such a beautiful statement piece that I probably would have wanted that somewhere on the main floor. But then again, I do really appreciate that the focus was on this custom piano, so I can see why they chose to put it upstairs, but that is like, I'm actually really upset that we got no mention of it, so he better say something later on. The only critique that I would have from what I can see just in the corner here on the wall above that door in the foyer is that they have those really old metal HVAC vents, which aren't necessarily a bad thing, but in this kind of style, it detracts from this neoclassical, beautiful Parisian look, and I probably would have wanted something a little bit more flush with that detail, so that's not one of the first things I noticed. Then again, I'm so nitpicky with such a little detail like that that it doesn't really matter.
This is the Petite Salon. It's called the Roxy Room. It's dedicated to my mother, as she was the love of my life. I just wanted to have a room where I was surrounded by her image. For me, soul is the most essential element, putting yourself into it, whatever your soul is. You know, people ask, well, how do you define your design? I call it soulful elegance, because design and elegance without that feeling is just designer names and, you know, stuff. But when you're collecting, it really reflects who you are, what you are, where you've been. It's beautiful.
This is the Petite Salon, and by all virtue, I bet you there is a Grand Salon as well. I think this room is such a great introduction on top of the foyer. The fact that he dedicated this entire room to his mother is so beautiful. The details, the photography, everything there just exudes that energy, which I think is so beautiful, especially in a space. Designing around the feeling, as I've always said in so many previous videos, this is the highlight of what you want to start with. His comment on being authentic in a space is really important too. I feel like that really carries the feel of what you want in the actual space, and then it's just amplified by everything that you put in it. I usually dislike an animal print, but I think it's done very tastefully in this room because it's not the first thing that you're drawn to, and that's not the main feature. The rest of this room is designed with the molding and all these beautiful features, and then that's just the one accent to just bring in that tribal aspect of it that still looks rustic, but it's still very refined. I also really appreciate that they brought a lot of these black and white forms that are consistent through the foyer into this salon as well. That is another key feature I always talk about when designing a space that connects to another. You want some level of cohesion that still feels like these areas are connected, but also separate. I also really like the bubble tufting on this sofa. I think this is a great juxtaposition between all the molding that we have on the walls. Everything is quite soft and hard at the same time with these really beautiful, delicate features that make the space inviting. Picture frame molding and crown molding in general can be very tacky if not done correctly. First of all, we're in Paris, so you can get away with literally doing anything in terms of molding to really bring in that style. But the fact that this is done so softly and so tastefully really ties this space together, because all of these elements are very dark and moody, yet when you enter it and as he's walking around and talking about those features, it doesn't feel intense. That's a really important factor that you need to consider when you're kind of putting a space together, is that if you love that dark and moody style, you still have to bring in those feminine elements to make it soft, otherwise it comes off very tacky. The giant chandelier in this room looks fantastic. It is not my personal taste. I would have wanted something a little bit more contemporary just to have that more juxtaposed look. But once again, suits the vibe. This could be a style that his mom really enjoys, so it really pays homage to her style and how we want it reflected in the space. I've never seen an AD review where the actual celebrity or artist talks about what their personal style is. It's usually the designer picked this, I like this, I wanted this, they did that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the way that he talks about his style being soulful elegance, I think is so beautiful, because it is such a broad spectrum term that really idolizes all of these great features that make the space look soulful and elegant at the same time with all these incredible, incredible features.
This is the Grand Salon, and this is where I receive folks. This is where we hang out. We all sit around, we sit on the floor and play music. It's got a lot of art in here that I love. Another thing that I love about this room is this is the first chandelier that I designed, that Kravitz Design did. This chandelier was made for Swarovski, and it was in one of the art fairs years ago. It's called the Hotel de Roxy. Some of the articles in here that are giving me so much vibe are these African sculptures that I got from Church Boutique, which is one of my favorite boutiques in the world. Yeah, these chairs were done by Kravitz Design many, many years ago. I love when you do something years ago and you have no idea where they're gonna end up. When they end up where they are, it looks like they were designed for that space. Then it's not working.
And of course, he has the Grand Salon just as I anticipated. I think the pure scale of this room is so incredible. If you're working with these large spaces like this, it can be really challenging to make it feel balanced, whether you're using like symmetrical balance, asymmetrical, or even radial balance. They did a fantastic job with having this shape, this motif, I should say, of these curved doors and how it relates to the curved tusks that are on the opposite side around this fireplace. I bet you they're not real tusks. I'm sure he's very forward when it comes to having art in this instance, but I think this drawn shape of having going upwards and this soft, subtle curve are mirrored in all of the crown molding details, the door openings. This is just such a beautiful detail that a lot of people typically wouldn't notice that I had to point out. This is also why you hire a designer if you do not have a design lens. I know for sure he has a design lens, and I'm sure he worked with a designer to help enhance this, but these are those really specific details that make a space look great. I really like that this room is completely contrasted from that really warm chocolate small salon now that we're in this big salon. They've wanted it to be and feel really open. So once again, we're using that warm white on the walls. We have this beautiful Venetian inlay of the floors, which I'm sure are true to the design of this original home. We're once again connecting all of these spaces together. We have the black and white flooring in the checkerboard in the foyer. We also have the black and white checkerboard detail in the rug that's in the Grand Salon. These are great connection points that once again really allow the space to feel cohesive and connected to one another. I love that there are so many playful shapes, not only in the artwork, but in the sculptures and also the chairs. These are absolutely stunning. The snakeskin chairs from Lenny Kravitz Design. I know he has his own home collection. I dream of one day being able to afford one of his pieces. I can really appreciate that every element in this space pays heritage to his background and so many artists in the space, whether it be the tusks that I mentioned before, these beautiful sculptural pieces that are throughout the entire room, and all the way down to these really over-exaggerated shapes that are super playful, but also really refined in the furniture. Once again, the chandelier in this room is not my personal style, but I think this actually plays more into the character of this room just based on the shape. We're not looking at that super traditional one that was in the Petite Salon, but once again, works really well with this style.
This is the dining room. I like to have dinner parties and invite interesting people from all different backgrounds to sit and enjoy a meal and conversation. This room is centered around this photograph of my grandfather, who was the head of the family and such an inspirational figure to me. This photograph was taken by Reuven Afanador years ago in Nassau, Bahamas. This room's all about the nighttime. I never have lights on very bright. People come in here and they think it's quite dark. So the lights are always on very dimly, and it just feels rich and warm and vibey. And that's the way I like it. This is by one of my favorite artists in the furniture world. I have several pieces of his, and I've been collecting him for a long time. This is Paul Evans. He was an absolutely incredible artist, and I'm just drawn to his work, how brutal, how elegant. This table is designed by Carl Springer, and I've had this for many years. I love it. The lacquer is just worn. It's got a lot of character. These are Africa chairs. Scarpa had these for a very long time. They just made their way to Paris. The two chairs at the end I found at the Paris flea market at Les Pouces, where I go every week.
Fuck me. Could you imagine a dinner party in this dining room? Like, this is absolutely fabulous. The fact that they used this really rich chocolate brown for the walls and did a full color drench. I mean, it's not included on the ceiling, but the fact that it feels so cozy, it really allows that elevated sense of warmth that you typically wouldn't get from a black. So I can really appreciate that this dark chocolate brown feels, once again, cohesive and connected to those other spaces. Every element in this space has texture, and that's a really key element with tying an entire room together. We have texture on the end chairs. We have texture on the dining chairs in between. We have texture on the surface of this custom dining table. We have texture in the credenza, and then also we have texture on the walls with all of this crown and picture frame molding. This is a really challenging way to design a space, is if you have texture on everything. But they pulled this off so well because each of these beautiful textured elements is able to shine in the space without overshadowing everything else. Like, the credenza is dark and it really kind of blends into the background with the picture frame molding, but it still has this level of detail. When the light hits it, you notice it, but it doesn't draw your attention and compete for where you're looking. It's great that he mentioned all of these lights are dimmable because, you know, if you were at a dinner party and you were at Lenny Kravitz's house, I can only imagine the entire dinner spread he's gonna have with like candles at different levels all set up on this table. Like, this is a vibe. Another great element to point out is that every artist that he's brought in, whether it's with furniture, sculptures, or art, all of these are one of a kind that he's collected over the years. And that also just shows you how much attention to detail that he pays to make sure that his space is unique to him.
We're in the library, and this library probably means the most to me because my mother, she kept speaking about learning French and reading books, and that she wanted to have a library. A lot of the African art books were hers, and a lot of the literature was hers. Those are James Brown's boots. James Brown is it. James Brown is the funk. James Brown is the rhythm. James Brown taught me so much and gave the world so much joy.
Moody is the vibe. This is like, my heart is so happy seeing an Architectural Digest review of a home that really is so immaculate. It is dark, it is moody. He is not afraid to use dark elements and colors. We've moved away from that really bright white kitchen aspect of a home that has always been a standard for Architectural Digest to now customized, beautiful elements. The pure scale of his art and sculpture in this space, I think, are incredible. To have something that size in a space can still make you feel dwarfed and small, but also really allows you to appreciate it because it's so massive. This is the perfect example of a room when I tell people to break up the monotony of square and rectangle. Everything is soft and it works so perfectly in this space to contrast a lot of the angular elements that you typically have in a room. Like everything, the chairs, the artwork, the texture and the shape of this sofa, everything is just tied together like so beautifully. I'm really finding it challenging to pick apart this place because it is so well designed.
Downstairs is the work floor. That's where the studio is. Well, I collect pieces that have great meaning and inspiration to me. People that changed my life, that inspired me, that educated me. And all of the things I have down there came to me different ways, some personally. Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, Miles Davis, John Lennon.
I love that we got a quick insight into the studio and how that's designed. Like, I'm assuming this is probably in the basement of the home, or at least kind of going down. Carried through that dark and moody vibe. All the frame molding throughout gives that element of depth on the walls so they don't fall flat, because once again, we've really got that dark chocolate brown throughout. I really like all of these acrylic display boxes that have memorabilia from incredible artists around the world that he's collected, whether it be clothing or boots or shoes. He's got so much memorabilia that's collected in this home in forms of history, and not just history, but Black history especially. The fact that all of these are in these acrylic floating frames, I think really add to a level of detail in these hallways, because usually you're left with quite a narrow space to work with. The way that these are designed allows this hallway to look as if they're floating while still capturing the details of these artistic pieces, where it looks like they're just a shadow box without it impeding in your overall look and how you would walk through the space. Also dim lights everywhere. We're just continuing the vibe. Are we sure Lenny Kravitz is in the game, man? Like, come on. I know people are gonna argue against it, but he's got like probably the best taste in fashion and home and just everything that I've seen, even compared to gay men. Like, gay men better step it up, including myself.
We're in the bedroom. It's a gift to be able to sleep peacefully every night. The word recreation is recreation. When you're an artist, to be able to continually be inspired, you have to continually recreate. This room provides that space for me to be able to close the doors and recreate myself on a daily basis. Really, it's just the bed and 2 chairs, 2 tables and 2 lamps and a console. And of course, the Moroccan rugs, which I've always loved. Music is essential. You know, I have Bang & Olufsen all throughout the house. I love their products. I love their design. I did not want to have a television in the bedroom. I have this room next door where I can watch films. There's a guest room where my special guests stay. And then you have the landing, the area out there where I sit sometime. That's it on this floor.
This bedroom is absolutely stunning. Most people would stray away from an ocular room or a round-shaped room to have it and design, but they did it so well. And instead of doing like a super large headboard that someone would typically put in, they really have such impeccable taste. They use a large mirror and they kept everything at a very low scale in terms of the nightstands, those credenzas, even the chairs. Everything feels very small and daunting in this space to allow the sheer scale of this room to be the design element. I didn't think I would ever see a room with like 10 scattered rugs that I would actually like, but it just works. The way that they've aligned everything in this beautiful sense of symmetry around the bed that connects this beautiful round window detail at the end with the chairs on each side. This is a true testament to less equals more, because if you have those impactful elements like the chairs, the rug, the bed, you don't need to have a lot of items. You can have really small, impactful pieces that bang a punch. Bang a punch. Oh, that pack a punch. Bang a punch. I'm really upset though, I should have mentioned this earlier, that I did not get a bathroom tour because all I got to see was this quick clip of this book-matched shower in the middle of the room. I'm actually so angry that I didn't get to see a bathroom tour. I hope the kitchen is next because we're running out of time right now. Come on, bathrooms are my thing. I love seeing really beautiful bathrooms. And the fact that you showed me a quick clip of this amazing book match on the back of the shower and then not talk about it, like, I'm offended right now. Only Lenny Kravitz would have a rave-like club in his basement and also a party going on when AD comes to tour the space. Like, this is iconic to another level. If you know me and you've seen my stories on Instagram, you know I love really appreciating music in every art form and going to shows and appreciating artists, DJs from all around. Like, this is, could you imagine? This is just like a speakeasy by its truest definition. The disco ball, the bar, like the seating area off of the dance floor where you can just like chill. Like, I know I said I wanted to be invited for like a dinner party here. This is where the after party starts and ends. You get there at 3 a.m., you don't leave until the next day. Like, it's a party that just keeps going, and I can only imagine. They contrasted this entire house so well with like this underground club that feels grungy with the concrete walls, the exposed piping, the lights, like everything just adds to this incredible vibe of not only this entire house, but the feeling that you get when you're in it.
It represents so many parts of my history, my story, my evolution, and you know, Zoe will take it from here. AD, thanks for coming by. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and next time you're in Paris, ring the bell.
This entire house just like exudes soul on so many multi-dimensions that it's like, it's hard to comprehend how it looks on video because I can only imagine how it feels in person. What's that meme where it goes like, she's an icon, she's a legend, she's the moment? Like, this is Lenny Kravitz and his home. I know he's done Architectural Digest reviews before of his other homes, but this one of his like entire Parisian home that we only got to see like part of, I'm very upset that I didn't get to see that bathroom. I'm also very upset that I didn't get to see the kitchen because I can only imagine what that looked like. Like, I'm just going to visualize it. I'm gonna have to see if I can find photos because there was nothing in this video online. I'm honestly gonna have to give probably the biggest praise for this review, and I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. It could have got that other 0.5 if I got to see the bathroom and the kitchen and some other elements.
Bathroom and kitchen.
But overall, this is like not only speaking to my soul personally, but also my personal design aesthetic. If I could live in a house like this, I wouldn't change anything. This is exactly how I would want to live, like so extra, over the top. Oh, I can only imagine what his walk-in closet looks like. It would put RuPaul to absolute shame. I'd have to say that Lenny Kravitz is probably one of the most personalized homes I've ever seen on Architectural Digest. It really allows you to have insight of who they actually are. And I'd have to say my most recent review that we just did on Walton Goggins, his house is exactly who he is too, and you need to check it out. That's everything for today. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Mr. Phoenix Gray if you're ever looking for those extra quick tips and tricks. And if you're ever second guessing yourself, just ask, what would Design Daddy do? Party with Lenny Kravitz. That would be the vibe. That's what I would do.